The room is relationships. The room is you and me and everyone in America.
What are you talking about?
The room is different cookie cutter from Hollywood.
Yeah, man, you never know. People are very strange these days.
What's going on?
Welcome to The Room Minute.
The podcast where we get obsessed with the cinematic classic The Room.
1 minute at a time.
You have no idea what kind of trouble you're in here, do you?
Why are you so hysterical?
We always wanted people actually talk about it.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
It's funny, in choir practice for middle school, we had this thing that we would do, which was like a dance theme where we went jig-a-low, jig-jig-a-low. And a gigolo is a bad thing, right?
Yeah, well, in middle school you would probably think so.
Yeah.
I mean, a gigolo is a male prostitute. Whether or not you think that's a bad thing is
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Start off this podcast with some kink shaming.
No, I'm sorry. I had to look up what it was. I thought it was something different.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Well, there's a gigolo, which is a male prostitute, and there's a juggalo, which is a fan of the Insane Clown Posse, and those are bad things, but that's okay.
By the way,
I'm fine with
hi everybody.
Oh,
hi listeners. So you come in on some gigolo shaming.
Shout out to our male prostitute listeners. We love you. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, don't get caught by the law.
There's nothing inherently wrong with it.
Yeah. In the words of George Carlin, fucking is legal, selling is legal. Why isn't selling fucking legal?
Yeah. But we are here to talk about minute 12 of The Room, in which Claudette should probably just marry Johnny herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who would like to tell us what happens in minute 12?
They talk.
Yeah, it's basically you can't support yourself, and Johnny gives you all this stuff. Got you a car, he got you a ring.
Actually, I'd like to start with notes from a midnight screening this time instead of saving it to the end, because it goes a lot to what the dialogue is.
Notes from a midnight screening.
Claudette finishes her line from the last minute, and darling, you can't support yourself. More than one person in the audience will yell out, because you're a woman. When Claudette says, well, you can't do that, she says, I don't mind living with him. Have you talked to him about it? Someone usually says, he doesn't speak English. And then Claudette does another list line where she pauses. Well, he's a wonderful person, and he's getting promotion very soon.
Yeah, he bought you a car.
Audience says, and.
He bought you a ring.
And.
Clothes.
And.
Whatever you wanted.
And she says, now you want to dump him. That's not right. I've always thought of him as my son-in-law. You should marry Johnny. He would be good for you. At the last screen I was at, someone screamed out, fucking A right, he would. And then the last one, when Claudette says, well, of course I'm right. I know men. Several people will call her a slut. So, your subtext for this minute is misogyny.
So, we have this line that you can't take care of yourself. So why can't she take care of herself? Like, is she mentally incapable? Like, is she mentally handicapped? Is she just, dumb? What about Lisa makes her incapable of caring for herself, that her mother thinks she apparently needs this man to care for her?
I don't know. She does have a job. She does get things done when she wants them done.
Yeah. Or is it just that her tastes are too expensive and Lisa will never be able to afford all the nice things that she seems to crave so much, supposedly, on her own? It seems so weird for me to see a parent tell their child, you can't care for yourself. It's...
Mm-hmm. It just occurred to me that it's kind of like the Titanic. Maybe my head went there because of Titanic Minute, but in the sense that it's a woman who is choosing between money and love. Mm-hmm. Only back then, a woman really couldn't take care of herself because there were very little options for women.
Right.
Because it was a different time for women, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Women's rights were different in 1912.
Yeah.
In whatever era this is taking place, she could, even if she's not a college graduate, she could get a job.
Well, she has a job.
She has a job.
She works in computers. We don't know what she does, but
she has at least, if she's working in computers, she has a decent job. She's not making minimum wage.
Well, she says later it's too competitive. So maybe she's been having trouble getting clients.
I forgot about that.
Oh, so maybe she's one of those people who quote unquote has their own business, but can't get any customers. But like, hey, you know, I got these business cards printed up that tell people I'm a computer technician. I'm a computer technician, you know.
I'm feeling attacked right now. As someone who has had business cards made before.
Oh, I have business cards.
I have business cards.
If this took place in 2019, she'd probably be like an Instagram influencer, and you're saying that she works in computers. I'm like, yeah, on Instagram probably.
Oh, well, if it's 2019, she's a wannabe influencer.
Yeah.
She's not a successful
not
influencer.
Not a good influencer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's a podcaster.
Yeah.
She's a
Damn it, Robert.
What would her podcast be about?
Using men for money.
Yeah.
No.
Here's how to get a man.
It's hard to say what her podcast would be about because we have no inkling into what her personality is or what she likes other than...
What does she like?
Other than she likes having sex with Mark.
Which you can't really be a podcaster about that.
Yeah. I mean, you can have a podcast about sex. That's a thing.
I mean, it depends how many people are having sex with Mark, I guess. That's how big her audience is.
Our guest today is Mark's ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth. Oh no, Betty. Elizabeth is Denny's. Damn. I'm convinced they're the same person, so I get them mixed up.
I suppose Betty could be a short form of Elizabeth, I suppose.
Yeah.
What could be a short form?
Betty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beth is short.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Beth and Betty are kind of similar.
Well, no, because Mark's ex is Elizabeth. No, is Betty.
Yeah.
And Denny's girlfriend is Elizabeth. I like to think they're the same person.
I think so.
So this person left Mark for the 18-year-old, possibly mentally handicapped boy who can't pay his own rent? Oof.
Yes.
That's some downward mobility right there.
Well, as far as we know, Mark doesn't even have a job. He just sits in his car. But he does have a car phone. Although that's next week, I think, that we'll hear about the car phone.
According to Greg Sestero, Mark's an undercover cop, so.
True.
Quite possible. We don't get enough character development to know for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I was saying back on Monday. That's one of the things where an actor, if they've got stuff that isn't as well written, they will try to work on the backstory in their head to make it cohesive where it initially seems disjointed.
Right. Like we will get some of Denny's backstory from Philip Haldeman's comic book when we get to more of Denny's scenes later.
I was going to say, if she's an Instagram influencer, do you think she's like girl with no job where she posts funny memes, or do you think she's a model?
I think it'll be like bad memes, like if it's like as kind of as flat in character as she is and as monotone as she is. She's just like kind of boring, like Minions memes or something, something like lots of memes, just really bad, like boring ones.
Maybe her work on computers is she just has an Etsy shop that sells candles.
Mm-hmm.
That's
crooked
gotta be
ones.
That's what she does. That has to be her work with computers. She's got an online shop of some sort that isn't very successful.
She sells candles. You seen how many candles they have?
Yeah, and they're pointed in every direction.
She steals silverware and just sells it.
She sells spoons and candles.
Yeah. Now, a good thing about Juliet, at least in this minute, when she says, I don't know, I don't mind living with him, I love the little move she makes. She does it later when she tells Michelle she just wants to live. It's it's really cute. Because in that moment maybe it's just the fact that she's actually still fairly young, that she feels like she means it. I don't mind living here. It's okay. Mm. She's bored, but it's good.
Maybe her Etsy sells pictures of spoons.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Juliet Daniels' Etsy shop does. She paints pictures of spoons.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. You can buy pictures of spoons painted by Juliet Daniels.
Wait a second.
All of these people have been really smart about capitalizing off of being in this movie.
A few of them, yeah. A couple kind of let it, ignore it and let it go away. But some, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the ones who wanted to have, real acting careers try to distance themselves from it.
Well, now I feel like I need a picture of a spoon.
Oh yeah, I want one, but I think they're like $40, so I haven't bothered.
She's
course,
only
they're from
38
Etsy.
now? Why do I think that they're all so old?
So this was 16 years ago, so that would have made her, 22. Depending on the exact time of year, 21, 22.
She was 21. Her birthday's in December. They filmed in September.
Yeah, so.
Shout out to all my December babies.
That's me.
That's me too.
And that's Juliet Daniel.
I am actually super distracted by these weird dangly earrings on Claudette here. And do you think that was costuming, or did she just show up with those?
The only one I know for sure brought their own costumes was Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Because she realized before they started filming how low the costume budget was because she had asked. And so she brought all of her own stuff and did her own makeup. As far as I know, Claudette was not doing that.
And so does this woman just have gigantic earlobes? Because it seems like the earring is clipped well below where the bottom of her ear would be. Or am I just... I'm paused at like 19 seconds, and it looks like there's a good quarter of an inch between where I would expect an earring to go and where the earring is.
Well, the bigger circle might be a clip on the very bottom of the lobe instead of a piercing. But yeah, or maybe it was really low.
Almost looks like she's got flesh-colored expanders in.
Oh my god.
That the earring is dangling from.
Huh.
Wow.
Expanders weren't.
Yeah,
really
I don't
a
want to be
thing back in
mean.
2012.
It does look like she has big earlobes.
Yeah.
Actually, if you pause and zoom in, it seems like there's something flesh-colored attached to her ear. And then the earring is attached to it. Like maybe they used some sticky thing to put the ears on. Maybe your ears weren't pierced, and so they put a little pad there and glued it.
Oh, so it's a prosthesis.
Or she has really weird shaped ears. Sorry, Carolyn Minnott, but your ears are possibly weird.
Should we do a fashion thing like we did on Mean Girls?
Not in this minute. Just get all the earrings, that blouse, Lisa's black dress and sweater.
Yeah, I'm looking at other pictures of Carolyn Minnott.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, if it would actually go to it. Zoom. No, I want to see an actual picture. Damn it, not a video. Killing me, internet. I think that might just be her earlobe.
Yeah, because it looks the same in later minutes of the movie as well.
Yeah.
She has really long...
She just has large earlobes.
Maybe she used to have like, what are those big earring things where you make it bigger and bigger?
Expanders, yeah.
Like she had those and then decided against it and got like plastic surgery fill in.
Oh.
And so she just has this really long earlobe.
The one where there's like a hole in your ear because you
yeah.
decided it would be cool
That's what I
to
was thinking.
stretch it out.
She's like, she
Yeah.
was a gang member down in Orange County and then she's like, I got this movie role, I'm gonna get this fixed. Any other notes for this minute itself so we can move on to some other Friday business?
No, this is always, it's you get some minutes in Minutes podcast that have loads of stuff to talk about, and episodes where it's just two people talking for the entire minute are almost never one of them.
Yeah, because there's no good, interesting visuals. It's the same topic they had last minute.
And even if you've got a really good cinematographer, it's shot of this person talking, shot of that person talking, shot of this person talking, shot of that person talking, shot of both of them talking, shot of this person talking, shot of that person talking.
Right. Mm-hmm. Throw in a 2-shot occasionally just to mix it up.
Yeah.
So then it is Friday, which means it's time to talk about bad movies.
I know it. It all sounds like some bad movie.
Bad movie of the week.
Who wants to go first? Alex or Alice?
So the bad movie that I kind of brought to the table, there was a film from, I want to say it was 90s. It may have actually been early 2000s.
1999.
99, that's it. Yep. Called Idle Hands. It was a silly little horror comedy movie. Decent cast, honestly. Devon Sawa, Seth Green, Eldon Hansen, Jessica Alba, Vivica A. Fox, Fred Willard. This stoner kid, Lacey Stoner's hand gets possessed by the devil and goes on a killing spree, even after it gets cut off from his arm. And it's just painfully, late 90s or early 2000s. down to the offspring appearing in the movie. Like, it's one of those that I think if I was watching it in 99, I wouldn't have said it was bad, but then it really doesn't hold up. Like, it's really, really, really late 90s. Yeah, it's hard for me to even, it's just so late 90s. It's just kind of hard to, like, watch. It's just sort of the worst of late 90s. Like, Jessica Alba's character is so poorly written because, she's just a woman who's there as a plot device. And yeah, it's one of those that I own that I'll like never actually put in again, ever.
You had me until you said painfully.
Painfully 90s?
Because I saw it in 99 in the theater, and I liked the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, Allison, was yesterday the first time you'd seen this?
Yes, I did not see it in a theater because I was 6. But I watched it yesterday, and I took a couple notes. I think that my favorite quote of the movie is when the lady's talking about it's a devil thing, right? That like goes into them. And she says, it possesses the laziest fuck up it can find.
And that was Devon Sawa.
My favorite thing from the movie would probably be when, like, his friends die, right? They didn't go toward the light because it was like really far.
The undead friends are good.
Seth Green says that line so great.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in it. Like, that's good. The physical commitment of Devon Sawa to the sort of the Doctor Strangelove-esque kind of hand being possessed is really good, but some of the 90s-ish...
Oh yeah, when he's fighting with himself over the TV remote, he's got some great physical comedy going on.
But some of the 90s-ness makes it a little hard for me to watch now.
The movie is, yes, very silly. Alice, have you seen Idle Hands?
I haven't. No, I was thinking you meant like Mono's Hands of Fate or whatever. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, but I hope someone brings up Monos in a later week, or I will.
Yeah.
Because that's a classic.
Yeah, it's like reminding me of that.
So yeah, if you don't like the 90s, it's not going to go well, because it's very 90s, as Alex said. Offspring is in the movie, playing at the dance.
I would say, you know what, if you're looking for a good movie to watch while you sit with a couple friends and get high, it's a good choice. Yeah. Like, if you're looking for, if you're looking for a movie to watch alone while you're not high, maybe not.
I watched it alone yesterday while not high.
Oh.
Me too.
But I love that movie.
I liked it.
But it's not like scary. It's not like scary or anything. It's weird to see like horror comedy film, but
yeah,
its badness doesn't come from it being made poorly.
No.
Oh, okay.
Its badness comes from, I think, really just mostly really dated.
Yeah, it has a very specific tone that kind of movie would be different now.
Yeah. But no, there's maybe one or two things that are scary, but they come and go pretty quickly.
It's not like a jump scare kind of, like I'm watching some SARS, something.
No.
It's more like a comedy that just happens to have like undead people in a possessed hand killing.
Oh, okay.
Undead people, a possessed hand, some blood, but
as you do,
yeah. As will happen every so often.
It is genuinely a horror comedy. It's not like with The Room where they later saw the reaction and was like, this was a comedy.
No, not like The Room. No.
It's like they're trying to make like the scary movie franchise, except they like did not do that on purpose to make it funny. Or maybe they did, but it's not a parody.
No, the people making Idle Hands knew they were doing a comedy. The people making The Room did not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of actual comedy, though, Alice, what is the movie you brought?
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of going from the scary movie sort of franchise there. So I saw the movie, it's called Movie 43, when I was in college. It's from 2013, and it's an anthology comedy film, so it's just kind of like little vignettes, I think I was watching a review about it today. It's kind of like rejected SNL sketches, kind of thing.
Yeah, rejected SNL sketches, only like dirtier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and dirtier and gross out. It's, very gross out comedy. And I could just quickly read you. I mean, this is a star-studded cast. So basically it's Elizabeth Banks, Kristen Bell, Halle Berry, Gerard Butler, Seth MacFarlane, Leslie Bibb, Kate Bosworth, Josh Duhamel, oh my god, there's so many. Anna Faris, Richard Gere, Terrence Howard, Hugh Jackman, Johnny Knoxville, Justin Long, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Chloe Grace Moretz, Chris Pratt, Liev Schreiber, Sean William Scott, Emma Stone, Jason Sudeikis, Uma Thurman, Naomi Watts, Kate Winslet, and then apparently on the DVD release was Julianne Moore, Tony Shalhoub, Anton Yelchin, and I don't know who Charlie Saxton is, but this was crazy. I think it was a $6 million budget. So I don't know how they got all these stars. Apparently they had Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet first, and I think Hugh Jackman knew the producer, and they're like, do us a favor, whatever. So basically they're like, okay, whatever, we'll do this skit. And then they filmed that skit, then they showed it to other, famous stars, and they're like, well, they were in it, you should be in our movie too. And people would say no, and then they'd be like, well, we'll move to you, we'll go to where you are. I think Richard Gere had, refused, and they're like, well, no, we'll come to you, right where you're filming, we're gonna do this. And they did anything they could, and apparently, blackmailed people, and begged and begged. So yeah, it's a lot of little sketches. What is that? Oh my god. So Richard Roper, the movie critic, called it the Citizen Kane of awful. Cause it's just, it was horrible back in college. I think watching some clips today, cause thankfully I can just kind of watch, skit by skit, and I watched just a few of them, to kind of catch up. And, I think there were things that were more funny, but then it just went to total gross out. So idea of one of the sketches, so Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet. So, they're on a blind date, they come in the restaurant, everything's fine, Hugh Jackman's wearing a nice fashionable scarf, and then he takes his scarf off, and he has a massive scrotum on his neck. Right? And that's the whole thing. And nobody really notices except Kate Winslet, who's does anyone else see this? I don't, what is going on? There's just, it's I want to bring in so many things. They put a baby under it, and they dunk his chin balls in soup. There's just a lot of weirdness going on, and that's kind of the tone of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So when Robert told me movie 43, I have one anecdote about this movie. Okay. There are 2 movies in my 30-odd years of existence where I have held the physical media in my hand, put it in the player, and at some point midway through, stopped it and said, screw this. One of them is movie 43.
Oh my god.
Look, I like...
Was this yesterday?
No, but this was a couple years ago, but I can do gross out humor. I like gross out humor. This wasn't, it wasn't gross out humor, it was just gross out. A lot of it.
Yeah.
And I can see why people tried to get their name off of this.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. And then no one promoted it. The stars did not promote it at all. I think this was Hugh Jackman's year. He was nominated for an Oscar for Les Miserables or whatever, and yeah, it's which one? Which one are we gonna promote here?
So I'm here on Wikipedia. Here's the plot summary for another one. So I'll give you the cast here. Anna Faris here is playing Julie, aka Vanessa, and Chris Pratt is playing Doug. So, real life couple here. Julie and Doug have been in a relationship for a year. When he attempts to propose to her, she reveals to him that she is a coprophiliac and asks him to defecate on her in the bedroom. Urged by his best friend Larry and others to go along with it, he eats a large meal and drinks a bottle of laxative prior to the event. Wanting foreplay, Julie is angered when Doug wants to finish, and she runs into the street. Chasing after her, he is then hit by a car and graphically evacuates his bowels everywhere. She cradles him and apologizes. Covered and surrounded by his excrement on the road, she exclaims that it is the, quote, most beautiful thing, unquote, she has ever seen and accepts his marriage proposal.
There is an amazing bit of comedy at the beginning of that segment.
Yeah.
Because they're on a picnic and he's going to propose. And he's like, I have a question. She's like, but I have a question. And he thinks she's going to propose, right? So they say their things at the same time, and as he says, will you marry me? She says, will you poop on me? That was funny.
Yeah.
But then the entire segment is that one joke pushed as far as you can take it.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the segments are.
Yeah, like if it
Should have
was
been a Family Guy cutaway, yeah.
yeah, like that, or a Vine.
Yeah.
That would have been a perfect, like a 6-second, I have a question. Will you poop on me? What? End of scene, you know.
Mm-hmm. I actually wrote down a quote from that I really liked. Shitting is something you do on a whore. Pooping is a gift you give your soulmates.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that definitely feels like it was pitched in the Family Guy writers room. And
I actually didn't hate this movie.
Yeah.
Now, a couple of the segments I did actually like. The homeschooling one is hilarious.
I was just gonna say.
It is.
With the parents who want their teenage son to have all of the experiences he would have at a regular school. So they make sure he has the awkward first kiss. They make fun of him in the shower, you know, and they throw things at him and call him horrible names. And it's so awful but it has multiple punchlines to it, and so it works better as a segment.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, and this is by the Farrelly brothers who put out Green Book, and There's Something About Mary, and all these movies, which are so much better.
And the Children in Machines segment, I think, was a beautiful piece of filmmaking. Like, legitimately, because it is such a great parody of, like, commercials about, like, starving children and stuff like that. Because it's just dumb, but it's also really short, so it works better as a segment.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I think maybe it would have worked, that all those segments would have worked better for me if they were a minute. 2 tops. But a lot of them are, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, they're going as long as like 5 to 10 for something.
Yeah, like the joke about, Hugh Jackman's chin is balls, you know, that half the length would have been fine.
Yeah.
Pun not intended.
Like the superhero one, the speed dating is stupid, but it works better because it has parts to it. It has things happening.
And it's interesting now with all this Marvel and DC and all this stuff coming out that it just becomes this, like, interesting parody of superheroes, and kind of before everything happened.
Like the middle school date with the first period would have been great as a 1-minute segment. Yeah, she gets her period, they freak out because they think she's bleeding to death. Laugh, move on. Instead, it goes a few minutes.
Well, at first they think that someone played a tomato prank on her.
Well, her father does. Yeah, when he walks in, like, what kind of a person would smash a tomato on a girl's pants?
Yeah. Someone spilled fruit punch on the couch, yeah.
And then the kid calls up 911 and is like, help! My girlfriend is bleeding to death out of her vagina. And why are you laughing at me?
Yeah. Which is funny. Like, the fact that the 911 person laughs at him is funny, but if he'd called 911 immediately and they got to that punchline, it would have been even better. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of segments that do that. Like, they take a joke a little too far, which Farrelly brothers do a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they would be really good if they would be in some other format where they could be shorter.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's apparently, I think the overarching thing is, like, that it's kind of like a pitch, like, let's just find, like, the weirdest, movie ideas, I guess. I think it was like 3 teenagers kind of trying to find bad movie ideas. But.
Well, maybe I have the same humor as a 12-year-old boy.
Maybe.
Because I liked the movie. I mean, the overarching theme of them is poo and private parts.
Right.
Yeah.
That sort of lingers over everything that they do, every skit.
Yeah.
And there's actually, at the end of the basketball segment, there is brilliant satire. Mm-hmm. The segment itself is kind of silly. But at the end, like, the black team wins, and they're the first black team to do well in basketball, but the white team is celebrated because they get 1 point at the very end. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a nice satirical thing at the end of this segment that wasn't a satire.
Yeah.
Of course, the fact that they scored a single point means that they made 1 free throw, which means essentially that 1 point was kind of given to them.
Yes. Mm-hmm. It was, this goes to the gross out stuff, it was a technical foul because the guy with a 12-inch dick, it was out of his shorts when he ran down the court. Mm-hmm. And so they called a technical foul on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough to get these comedy parody movies right. I mean, it's not that I'm not a fan. I mean, I like the Scary Movie franchise. I mean, I think Date Movie was okay. And there are other ones where they parody other thing, Meet the Spartans, whatever, but I don't know, it's tough to get right.
I think those kind of movies sort of peaked maybe like just before Scary Movie. Like the first Scary Movie is still entertaining.
Yeah.
But then immediately it goes more toward how ridiculous can we be rather than how can we parody and satirize these other genres and other films.
Let's try to capitalize,
And that's when they got like the Spartan movie, the other things.
I still liked Scary Movie 2, but it got after that it took a sharp downhill turn for me. But I can say that Scary Movie 2 is worse than Scary Movie 1, but 2 is still watchable for me.
Rewatching just the first one again recently, I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, not that I would choose to watch it, but like if it's on in a place where I am, I'm not going to turn away from the TV,
But I can still watch like Airplane or the first Naked Gun. Although even Naked Gun goes a little bit too far. I don't want to watch the second or the third one. So, comedy has its limits.
Yeah, it's basically very lowbrow humor.
I mean, if you're into that, I imagine this movie could work really well. If you know what you're in for and you still sit down to watch it, you'll probably be entertained.
Yeah, or I think even was it Emma Stone and who's the other person, the cashier one? Those were some interesting insults at each other. Gosh, what was it?
Yeah, Kieran Culkin.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially, I think the quote-unquote joy of the movie is just that they got this many A-list or A-minus list actors to do this crap.
Right. Yeah.
It would, if these were actors of comparable talent who weren't Hugh Jackman and Kate Winslet and Emma Stone at all, it wouldn't, as little as, I mean, and I'm someone who didn't think it worked at all, but even if it does work for you sort of, it wouldn't work as well if it was actors of similar talent who weren't who they are.
Yeah. Well, from a review that I was watching today, they were saying that, I think it was maybe the Farrelly brothers or someone said this, that like, kind of the other way that they got these actors was that everyone, inside just wants to let out some funny, they just they think they're funny or they, just want to have that moment in the sun. So I think that was also a motivation of like, yeah, I got a funny side.
Right. And you're only making them do one segment. So how much time does it take?
Yeah.
Like Richard Gere's thing, they probably filmed in couple hours. They could have if it went well with but there were a lot of people in that scene, so it might have taken a little while for it to set up. But most of the segments are quick.
This movie is a who's of the Hollywood A-list.
Yeah. And B-list and has-beens and up and coming. I mean, in the pitch thing, you have Dennis Quaid, who's been around forever. Greg Kinnear, who kind of came up quickly in the late 90s and then sort of went away. And Common, who was only just becoming like an actor in 2013. And so it's an interesting mix of those three in the same segment. So
I got the most excited for Seth. It's like, oh my god, they have Seth!
Right.
So, anything else on The Room? Generally, since the week is over?
The only, and I know this is, maybe a weird thing to say on a podcast where we're going to talk about and make fun of The Room minute by minute, but
why would we make fun of it?
Yeah.
How dare you?
This is a great movie. What? Did you not like?
I'm kind of not
what are you talking
a huge fan of watching movies ironically in general. Like, like the people who worked on it, they thought they were trying to make the best damn movie they could.
Right.
And looking at this movie in particular, I have a strong suspicion that Tommy Wiseau either has some mental issue or mental handicap or something. Like there seems to be some disconnect with the way that human emotion works, I think. And so, like, making fun of something that a possibly mentally ill person wrote to avoid, to get themselves out of a dark time in their life, it's a little rough for me, on an empathetic level. But at the same time, you making fun of the complete lack of talent, sure, But watching it I feel like something like this is not in its best form watching it solo. Something like this is watched best in
with other people.
The midnight screening type of thing, where you've got a lot of people and everyone can make fun of it.
Although don't see it first that way.
Yeah, don't see it first that way.
Just a warning if anyone's If anyone's listening and hasn't seen it, watch it in some other way first, because you will not hear some of it at a midnight screening.
Of course.
It gets louder.
Yeah. I don't know. Just had to throw a wet blanket on it a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one last time, Alex, if the listeners want to hear more of you, where can they hear you?
Most Minute podcasts, guesting in some form or fashion. Galaxy Quest Minute, Independence Day Minute, Cleveland and 6 going deep into Major League, various and sundry others at some point in the future if you're listening to this, possibly. Check me out there. Social media, you can probably guess what the social medias are based on the names of those shows.
And Alice, where can they see you be funny?
Be funny in Rochester, New York. If you want to fly, drive, whatever, invite me onto your podcast. If you're listening and have podcasts, I won't watch anything. Me podcast whore. And yeah, just follow me on Twitter, ALIMEZH, which is Ali Mej, or contact me on Facebook, Alice Lauren, and just message me and tell me that you heard me and you want to talk to me, and cool, let's be friends.
So there's nothing wrong when people make fun of the project, in this case, The Room.
The Room Minute is a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find more content at lemmingdrops.com.
Follow The Room Minute on all the obvious social media. If you've got any stupid comments after the show,
You can leave them in your pocket on Facebook. If you like what you hear, throw us a rating and a review on your podcatcher of choice. Thank you for listening, and remember, if a lot of people loved each other, the world would be a better place to live.
Leave us!